All right, so it's no secret the crypto market has looked pretty cold lately. It's been losing a lot of its momentum. It's been pretty much stagnant since the end of last year. And so it's looking more and more likely as every day goes on that we might be entering into a bear market, which, if you're new in the space, can sound super scary. But there's actually some benefits that come with the bear market, and what I'm going to be discussing is my strategy and how I plan to approach the bear market and research tokens. That way I am prepared when the market flips and we go bullish. I have my picks. I know what I'm going to start investing in at that time so that I can take advantage of the bear market. And that's what I want to share with you guys today. And I think that this strategy is really great because when you go online, there's like a trillion different research strategies for crypto that people use, and it almost seems like all of them require you to be either a tech whiz or a statistical whiz. And most of us have some knowledge of tech and some knowledge of statistics, but most of us aren't whizzes by any means, and we can only go so far with that. And honestly, I think that those strategies are only okay. I really don't think focusing so much on the chart and numbers and things like that is that beneficial, and I don't think focusing solely on the technology is that beneficial. You really need a wholesome strategy. And so what this is going to be discussing, and what my strategy really is to take all of that knowledge but add sort of a main piece of this, because in my eyes, again, the tech piece and the statistical piece are only about maybe 30% of my strategy. The rest, the 70%, is really my research, how I do my research, and it doesn't really involve either of those two. Now, tech is sort of this gray area because it does involve the technology, but it grows on that, and I'll explain what I mean here. Before I get into my strategy, guys, I just want to say, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe to the channel. Just like this video, we're going to discuss lots of crypto content, so if you are breaking into the crypto space, you're definitely going to want to follow along. You should become comfortable with the idea of a bear market. It should feel fine to you. A bear market is fine, just like a bull market is fine. Now, most of us obviously prefer bull markets. They're more exciting and things like that, but again, bear markets have their pros as well. There's a lot of ways that you can take advantage of them. So, getting out of the space during a bear market and coming back in a bull market is not a good idea, because you could be using this valuable time to set yourself up for the bull market. Because let's face it, most of the people who make money in crypto didn't invest in the bull market. They invested before the bull market. That is how you make the majority of your money in the crypto space. So taking this time right now where we're pretty stagnant and things don't look so good to research and plan your next moves will set you up for success later on. So that's what we want to do. In a bear market, you get a lot more time. So that's going to be our number one pro of a bear market, because in a bull market, things feel like they're moving so fast, and that's because they are. And when they're moving that fast, you feel like you need to invest in something right now, even before you've done all of your research, because you're going to miss out. And we call that FOMO, and I'm sure most of you are familiar with FOMO, the fear of missing out. And that's a very real thing in crypto. You see all these people making money, you want to make money, and so you feel like you just need to pull the trigger on a token, and your research is incomplete. When the fact of the matter is that by the time everyone else is making money, you're probably not at a good point in the cycle to where you're going to make a ton of money or be rich like they are. You had to have invested in the bear market, so that way when the bull market came, you were already in position. So again, the number one thing is going to be you have time. So keep this in mind when you're researching in a market like we're in now, is that relax, take your time. You don't need to invest in something today. Do your research. The second thing is that a bear market is going to kill a lot of the junk projects that are out there, okay? And this is a good thing, because when the bull market comes, what happens is a lot of crypto teams that really aren't there for the technology or for the betterment of the crypto space, they come out to try to get a piece of the action, right? They get out there, they want to make money. And so what they do is they create some half-ass project that does not really do anything just so they can release a token and get a piece of, again, what's going on in the bull market. They want money, so they come in, and those are fluff projects that end up attracting attention, but then when the time really comes, when we start to see a market like we're in now, they start to die out because that token doesn't really do anything. The project doesn't really do anything, or there's no community behind it. And so that is, again, a pro of a bear market. Now, obviously, if you're in one of these tokens, it doesn't feel very good. And I would highly recommend that if you feel like you're in a token this way, and this is not investment advice, but how I would handle it is I would get out of those tokens. But once those tokens really die off and those projects die off, what you'll start to see is the quality projects, the people who are really dedicated to what they are doing, will stick around, okay? And those are going to be, it really slims down your options when you're looking at investing in cryptos and doing your research. And you've almost sort of cut out all of the invaluable projects. The market has done that on its own. That's one of the beauties of an open market, is that people will put their money where they see value, and when there's no value, they leave, and those projects eventually die. So once we've sort of narrowed down that search, well, now, again, the pie just got a little bit smaller, so now we have more projects that we can look at, and most of them are foundationally or structurally sound, right? The team is good, they have the right funding, they're really out there for a mission, right? The mission that they set out to do, they're doing, and they're going to stick with it through thick or thin, and that is what you want to see out of a team. And again, they're really the only way you can get that is if the market is down. And so, again, that is another major benefit of being in a bear market. So now that we've got those two major benefits, established, and there are plenty of benefits of being in a bear market, but I'm not going to go into them all. Those are the main two that I wanted you guys to focus on, because they're going to sort of dictate the strategy that I'm going to be using. Now, my strategy, number one, is to just be in touch with the market, okay? So you need to be out there listening to podcasts. You need to be listening to the right people who talk about crypto in the technology sense, who are there for the right reasons, not money, because those are going to be the people who are going to tell you where the market's heading, what projects to look out for, where they see value in the space. And that is very important. Their insight is very important. So people like Vitalik Buterin, people like Hayden Adams, which I know that one's going to be a little more controversial as of late, but let's face it, Uniswap is huge. Hayden Adams is a big mind in the crypto space now, and so it's no doubt that they're going to stick around. But listening to people like them, the devs, the people who are really out there in the trenches working on their projects through the bear market, those are going to be the ones that tell you what's going on, where they see value. Emin over at AVAX, like, again, these are people you want to listen to when they're speaking. So following them on podcasts, YouTube, reading their articles. Vitalik Buterin puts out a blog. For those of you who didn't know, he's got a whole website that is just a blog for him, where he goes in and writes up his ideas. That is literally where Uniswap started, is on Vitalik's blog. So again, following along with their ideas and what they're putting out there is very important, and that kind of leads into the next part of my strategy. Now, after I've done some research and I've been listening to these podcasts, I don't really necessarily go seeking crypto investments. And what I mean by that is, if you wake up one morning and you're like, today I'm going to buy an altcoin, and then you go to CoinMarketCap and you just start droning through CoinMarketCap trying to find any token to invest in, and then you end up just picking the one that sounds best to you in the moment without really doing a lot of research, that is the wrong way to approach things, and 99% of the time you're going to lose money. So again, you shouldn't wake up one day like, I'm going to buy crypto today. What you need to do is get to a point where you feel confident that you really know that there is value in a project. And again, you don't really necessarily have to go seeking these projects. What you do is you just listen to these people talk, and eventually they'll mention projects. Eventually they'll talk about spaces where they see value. And then what you want to do is research the space we see value. Now, in Vitalik's case, in the Uniswap case, he put out a blog about how he saw value in a decentralized on-chain exchange and what that would look like. And so had you been following along to Vitalik's blog, you would see that, okay, decentralized exchanges, that's going to be a new value or high value area for crypto and Ethereum in particular. Who is working on decentralized exchanges as Vitalik has outlined? Boom, you would have come across Hayden Adams. Now, his story is a little crazy because he's just learning how, if you really research into how Uniswap started, he's just learning about crypto, and it was sort of an experiment to him. But obviously that experiment worked out. It worked out very well. And had you followed along with Vitalik's post, you would have been able to follow Uniswap and would have been there day one of the token release, which if you were, you're doing very well yourself right now. And that is how I'm going to approach this bear market. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the big brands and I'm going to look at the different areas where they see value, what they need. You know, what does Ethereum need to succeed? When Vitalik outlines what he sees Ethereum needing, I'm going to go to that area and trying to find projects that meet what he is saying, okay? So if he's saying that Ethereum really needs better user experience with wallets, what I'm going to go out there and look for is the wallet space and who is working on a great wallet that is really revolutionary in the way that we interact with wallets, because that person is going to be, or that project is going to be hugely successful. Now, they don't always have tokens, and so sometimes you'll have to, you'll see one and be like, dang, they're going to be big, but I can't invest in them. And that's okay too. So again, that is how I am researching and finding tokens, is by listening to these people and looking for the areas that they identify in their talks, and then using that data to go then and research projects that are in that space. What you need to understand is if you're looking solely at CoinMarketCap, you're only looking at projects that A, list on CoinMarketCap, which is not every project, and same with CoinGecko, and B, that they already have a token, it's already out there, because if they're on CoinMarketCap, that's strictly for tracing the tokens, really. So yes, there are some listings on there that don't have token releases yet, but usually they're coming up if they're on CoinMarketCap. And so again, you need to understand that CoinMarketCap isn't necessarily the starting point for you. It's great for doing research later on, but you shouldn't necessarily start with CoinMarketCap. Because again, in Uniswap's case, the project was well underway before it ever even hit CoinMarketCap or released a token. So, being in touch with this is important. Now, once I've sort of narrowed my search down and I found some projects that I like, that I feel like fit in good value areas, what I'm going to be doing then is following those teams very closely. Okay, so following them on Twitter, listening to see if they're doing any AMAs or anything like that. And I want to get a feel for what their goals are and how the team is as a group. Do they work well together? Do they sound really unprofessional when they talk? What you don't want to see out of a team is immaturity. You don't want to see bickering amongst the team members, because if they're new and they're already fighting with each other and you've got all this junk going on, they're probably not going to be doing very well, or it's going to be a very slow growth because they're not all on the same page. And if they have a product out, you want to go and check in on that product. Once they release their product, you want to start keeping tabs on what the product is. Is it what they promised? Because saying things and doing things are completely different. And if there's a big disconnect between what the team has promised and what has actually come out, that's going to be a red flag. So again, keeping tabs on the product. Is it something you would use? Does it look like it is working properly? Okay, I'm going to give you guys a break real quick and put up a funny tweet that Blockworks put out yesterday. This is a real tweet that came out yesterday from Blockworks. And I was laughing for probably a solid 10 minutes at this. They ended up deleting it because, no, the Asian guy in the picture is not CZ from Binance. Too funny. Another thing you want to avoid that is a red flag to me is if they are talking about money. So if a project is like so focused in on money, and that's like all they tweet about, all they talk about is their token and how much money they're making, I tend to avoid those. Now, that's not to say that they might not do well, that their tokens might not do well, but I don't like that. I don't want a project's sole focus to be money, because when shit hits the fan, like we're seeing now, those teams will break up and they'll stop working on the project because they're not making money anymore. And that's what I want to avoid. I want to see a team that is not taking the money they're making off their tokens and buying yachts and things like that, but taking that money, putting it into a treasury, so that way when we hit a down market like this, they have money to survive and continue working on their projects. And that's what a quality project will do, is they'll take the money that they generate and they'll put it into a treasury, either for the DAO to manage or for the team to feed on and use to pay the bills. Because let's face it, I mean, these people can't work on a project without income. They need income. And so it's important that they have money set aside and that it's ready to use when a down market comes, so that they can continue working on the project. Because if they're not working on the project is dead and there is no value there. So you guys need to understand that it's not all bad when a team releases their token or ends up, they have a piece of the allocation that's dedicated to them. That's a good thing. You want to see that. Now, if it's that there's a balance there, if you see that the team holds 99% of the tokens and they're going to release all of them in January or whatever month you're in, then yeah, that's an issue. You don't want to see that. But again, it's okay for them to have some money set aside. That's what you want to see. And the team needs that so that they continue working on the project. That's how it builds value. Just like a company. I mean, that's really what this is they are a company. So, just like a company needs to pay salaries to its employees so that it can continue operations, that's the same idea here in crypto projects. And people can tend to lose sight of that, right? Like, we look at the crypto projects like they're here to make us money as the token holders and they shouldn't be taking any of it. And that's the wrong mentality. That's not how you're going to see value. There's projects that'll cater to that and they'll act like that, but eventually they fall apart. And so that's what you need to look out for. So, getting back on track, once we have established that we like the team seems very knowledgeable. They're out there on a mission. They made it very clear that they're going to pursue this mission, and they seem very smart, intelligent about what they're talking about. You don't need to be a tech whiz or understand everything they're saying, because I watch plenty of videos and podcasts where I don't understand half of what's going on, but you will get a feel for just how they are as a person, right? And that's what we're doing here, is how is this person on their day-to-day? Do they seem like they know what they're talking about? In this instance, if Vitalik and Hayden are sitting down talking, and we know and respect Vitalik, we understand that he understands crypto, and we know he's on a mission, so he's sort of our independent variable, I guess is what you would say in this case. And so if he is talking with Hayden Adams and it looks like Hayden just doesn't know what he's talking about, or Vitalik is acting like Hayden doesn't know what he's talking about, that's a red flag for us. Now, I'm not saying that is the case. I don't even know if the two have really talked in an AMA or anything like that. I'm just using this as an example, and I'm using Vitalik as an example as well. So, there's other people in the space outside of Vitalik that know what they're doing. And so, again, following these people and listening to them talk to other people with projects of interest, the ones that we're researching, are going to be how we sort of navigate the technological piece. Because again, we're not experts on this, so we don't know the ins and outs. And so those people, those anchors, those independent variables are going to be the ones that help us navigate that side. And we can listen to them talk. And if it looks like, someone like Vitalik is impressed with what Hayden Adams is saying, then that's a good sign. That means, okay, great. This guy looks like, he's talking to someone who is an expert on crypto. We know that. And he's impressed. So, we know that this guy knows his stuff. That's sort of how you can navigate that technological gap. And then really the last piece of, once I've determined, okay, I like the team, I like the project, they definitely fit into a value space, now is timing your investment. So picking a time to pull the trigger and buy their token. One, they got to have a token released. Okay, so that's super important. Two, you need to look at their token release schedule. All right, so this is pretty intuitive. It's easy. Most crypto projects have a chart that reflects how their token is going to be released over time. If they don't have a chart, or they're not disclosing how it's going to be released, that is a red flag. You need to be careful of that project. But assuming they have that, what you go into is you're just going to look at that chart, and if it looks like, if there's like this period where it's like flat, right? There's like no release, and then all of a sudden, bam, half the tokens are released. Well, you need to be careful, because when that 50% increase happens in the token supply, that is going to have a direct correlation to the price. and we need to see where that money is going. So if they're taking it and putting it into a treasury, and that's what you're seeing on the chart, that's different because that's locked away tokens. But if they're taking it and dumping it all on the market via like marketing funds or whatever it is, that's a red flag. It might not mean that the project is bad, but that token is going to have a hard time during that period. So maybe wait until after that period. So again, those are things you want to look for on the token release schedule. So once we've looked at that, we've got an idea of, okay, there's no major token releases coming up. Where it's a pretty even incline. So, we're okay to invest, at our own pace. Once we've got that, we're really looking at the overall market health. So right now I'm not taking any new positions. Okay, I am just waiting to see how this pans out, and the global economic stuff. As much as we like to separate ourselves from the global economy and crypto, we are very much correlated. It's just the fact of the matter that if someone is struggling to pay rent, they are not going to keep their crypto. They're going to sell their crypto to pay rent. So it's very important that we still watch the global economy. This is something that still affects us in crypto, and will always affect us in crypto. Again, people will spend their money on necessities. It doesn't matter if they have a brick of gold, or whatever it is, their favorite anything, they'll sell it so that they can survive. And so again, crypto is not immune to this. So again, paying attention to the global macro outlook, and just getting an idea of how things are doing in the economy. And this is easier than you think. How do you feel today? Are you struggling with groceries? Are you struggling with rent? Because there's a lot of people that are in your same shoes, and that's really how you can gauge how things feel. You just sort of can, again, you can just sort of feel it, like where things are heading, if it's good or bad. And so that's kind of what you want to pay attention to. Pay attention to that intuition. But once we've determined that, okay, things are slowing down, the market isn't falling anymore. We've gone through a bear market, and again, this is a future outlook here. We've gone through a bear market, things have slowed down. Most of these tokens I feel like are in a good value place. What we want to look at is we want to pay attention to the market cap. So, how much value is there right now? Where do we think it can go? Now, you got to be very careful here, because what a lot of people do is they'll look at an oracle, okay, and they'll go, okay, here's Chainlink, here's the oracle that I'm looking at, so naturally it should have the value of Chainlink, right? Because they both do the same thing, and this project, I think, does it better than Chainlink, so it should have a higher market cap than Chainlink, right? That is not how you should compare tokens, because it doesn't always work out that way. 9 times out of 10, it doesn't work out that way. The first mover grabs a lot of the value, and the second mover might get some of that value, but it might not get all of it unless it does something that is really innovative. So what we're looking at is really just the market cap of our token versus the average of the rest of the tokens that are in that space. So, again, if we're looking at an oracle, we're not just taking Chainlink, we're taking sort of an average of all the other oracles that are in the space. What are their market caps? Where are we at? And that's where you can sort of find value. Now, another thing you need to pay attention to here, and this goes off of the crypto token release schedule, is the fully diluted market cap. Now, the fully diluted market cap is going to tell you how many, or what the market cap of that token would be if all of the tokens were released in circulation. This is very important because all of the tokens at one day will be released into circulation. So if that value is way higher than the current market cap, that means there's a lot more tokens to be released here soon. Or just in the future. So, and this refers back to the token release schedule. If you see that one value, if the fully diluted market cap is a lot higher than the current, go look at the token release schedule, see when these tokens are coming out. You might have years, you might have just a couple weeks before they release them. So again, these are things you want to pay attention to. This number can also scare big investors away, okay? So a big whale who's, looking to invest millions, if the fully diluted market cap is something absurd, they might not invest at all. Even if they like the project, they might not invest because of that fully diluted market cap. So again, that's something important to pay attention to. We've got a couple pieces that just came together. We've got a good market condition. We feel like the market's bottomed out. And this happens over time. Again, guys, markets don't typically bottom out in a day. It usually takes months of just flat. So we've determined the market's bottomed out. We've looked at the token. We're confident in the team and all that stuff that happened before all this. We went to CoinMarketCap. We feel like the market cap is is below the average and is a good value buy. The fully diluted market cap looks healthy. There's no major token releases coming up. Now what we're doing is going to the chart to pick our entry. Now, what we're looking at on the chart is I like to look at the daily on the candlestick chart. And for those of you who don't know how to read charts or candlestick charts, definitely want to research how to do that. They're going to be very important when dictating when to enter. There's a lot of patterns and things that people read into there. I would say beware. There's some patterns that are just super goofy and they might just confuse you. Just stick to the basics with the candlestick chart. And what I'm looking for is that, okay, if I'm looking to invest in this token and we're looking at the daily chart and we have a daily candle that just went up 95%, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait for it to cool off a little bit. So I'm going to wait for just to see what happens over the next week. Does it flatline? Does it continue up? Sometimes you just miss the boat, okay? And the fact of the matter is if a token goes up 95% in a day, yeah, it could go up 95% the next day. But if you invest at that point and it comes back down 95%, you've just lost 95% of your money, and it's got to go back up 95% in order for you to make your money back. So that's a big move. And so for me, I don't like taking that kind of risk. What I like to do is I like to wait for the token to do its thing, balance out over the next week if I see a huge green daily candle. And then just, once I feel like it has balanced out and it looks like it's starting its upward trajectory again, that's when I'm pulling the trigger and buying. Now, you want to buy in pieces, okay? So a way that you can approach this is like if you've got $100 or $1,000 to invest, take 25% of it in one buy, and you can even do it in smaller. Some people do 10% buys, and it just depends on how much you're investing because you don't want the fees to eat up all of your investment. So obviously the more you break it up, the fees can get more expensive, especially if you're using a decentralized exchange and buying on Uniswap and there's gas fees and things like that. So how many buys you do is sort of going to be dependent upon your position size, but we'll just use 4 different buys in this case. So if you're investing $1,000, I think 4 is a good number. And what you want to do is you want to wait until you feel like you've got a good entry on the chart. Things look great. We're not coming off of a really hot green candle. Buy 25% at that time. And then over the next week, just sort of watch it. If it tanks off a cliff, great. Guess what? You've got another 75% you can buy in with. So if it tanks off a cliff, maybe I'll do a 50% buy and buy more there and average down. And if it starts to go up, I'll just continue with my 25% buys at where I feel comfortable. And this is ultimately up to you guys. There's not like a secret hack here. A lot of people will try to pretend that you can predict everything in the charts. And while there's some people that are really good at trading the charts, most of us aren't, okay? We're not. And so if you try to, you're going to end up losing a lot of money. And so you're better off to just take your time investing and just break it up into pieces and entering in just over time as you feel confident. And then once we're fully in our position, at that point, we don't want to overmanage it, okay? So what we're not doing is going in and looking at it every single day and trying to buy and sell every single day and avoid every dip and participate in every rise. Like, that is how you'll get in trouble. You get it chopped up is what they call it in the market. So, you try to predict when it's going to rise, so you buy it, and it doesn't rise, it goes down, so you sell, and then it rises and you missed out, and so you get chopped up in the market, and you can lose all your money that way with the token really just going sideways. So that's something you want to be careful of. And again, don't over trade. Once you're in your position, just continue doing your research, continue staying updated with what the project's got going on. You'll get a feel for, okay, now we're at a point, the token price has gone way up since I've started. I don't care what it's done in between now and then. It could go up, down, sideways, circles. I don't really care because I still see value in the team. I see value in the project. And then once we get to a point where I feel like the market cap is at a fair value, we're now at or above the average for, again, going back to the Oracle example, we're at or above the average for the Oracles in the space. Now I'll consider selling, and you want to sell the same way you bought in. You'll just sell in increments, so 25% now, 25% in a few days, 25% a few days after that, so on and so forth. And that's really it, guys. This is really my strategy, how I participate in the crypto market. It's a lot less stressful when you do it this way. Okay, a lot of people are out there. They're looking for the market hack, or they're looking for a way to get become a millionaire overnight with $100. And you're just going to lose money in those instances. For every one person that ends up working for, there are millions and probably like I'm sure there are hundreds of millions that lose in those instances for that, and one person makes it out. And so it's really, you're just gambling if that's the way you're doing it. So just, again, if you're really serious about being in the crypto space and want to make money, this is, to me, is a more surefire way to do that, and a bear market presents itself perfectly to an instance like this, where you can just use this time to research and not feel pressured to take action right now. So I hope this video was helpful to you guys. I know it was a little longer, but I wanted to put this out there because I feel like this is more of a down-to-earth research strategy that doesn't require you to be, again, a statistical whiz or a tech whiz. So if you enjoyed this video, if you found it helpful, please like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.